All right, folks, it's Thursday, February 5th, 2026, and this winter is about to get a whole lot more interesting. A major shift in our jet stream is splitting the country into two very different worlds. Abnormally warm conditions are building across the western and central United States, while a chain reaction is setting up that will send two Arctic blasts crashing into the eastern tier of the country. This dramatic temperature contrast is opening the door for widespread snow events over the coming days. Let me put this pattern into historical context because what we're experiencing continues to rival the legendary winter of 2013-2014. That winter became the benchmark for brutal cold and relentless snow across the eastern United States. The polar vortex repeatedly collapsed, sending surge after surge of Arctic air deep into the south. The blizzard of 2013 dropped 36 inches on parts of Connecticut and nearly 25 inches on Boston. Atlanta's Snowmageddon paralyzed the metro with just a few inches because temperatures were so cold that nothing melted. We're seeing the exact same pattern unfold right now. The polar vortex has been disrupted, sending wave after wave of Arctic air into the lower 48. The Carolinas just experienced their most significant snowstorm in decades, with totals exceeding 12 to 18 inches in some locations. And we're far from finished. The parade of winter weather continues with multiple systems lined up through the weekend and beyond. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. Now let me walk you through exactly what's happening over the next 4 days, because we've got significant weather unfolding. Today, Thursday, February 5th, the first Arctic blast has fully arrived. A large cold front that stretched from Texas to the northeast has pushed through, dropping temperatures by as much as 30 degrees across some locations. Most areas in the Ohio Valley and into the southeast are running 10 to 20 degrees below average this morning. Sub-zero temperatures have settled into many locations across the northeast. The cold is firmly entrenched and showing no signs of loosening its grip. Meanwhile, look at the dramatic contrast developing. The West Coast and Great Plains are on a completely different level. Temperatures are well above average across the Dakotas, throughout California, and into the southern plains. Many western locations haven't seen rain or snow in weeks. It's been an exceptionally dry winter out there while the east shivers through historic cold. Light snow showers are working across portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, and into Virginia today on the backside of a weak low-pressure system. Johnson City, Tennessee through the Virginia mountains into parts of North Carolina could see some flakes flying with maybe a coating to a half-inch in favored locations. This isn't a major event, but it keeps the winter weather theme going for the region. The bigger story for Thursday is an Alberta clipper that's dropping out of Canada later today. This system will bring snowfall to parts of the Great Lakes late Thursday and set the stage for more widespread impacts as we head into Friday. Friday, February 6th is when things start getting more active. That Alberta clipper becomes more organized and spreads snowfall across the Great Lakes into Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania through the day. Most of this snow will be light, but here's what you need to watch for. Snow squalls could develop during the afternoon hours, producing significantly reduced visibility in isolated locations. If you're traveling on Interstate 70 through Ohio and into Pennsylvania, Interstate 80 across northern Ohio and Pennsylvania, or Interstate 79 through West Virginia, you need to be prepared for rapidly changing conditions. 1 minute you might have relatively clear roads, and the next minute you're in a whiteout with zero visibility. These snow squalls are dangerous and have caused massive pileups in the past. Don't let the light overall accumulations fool you into thinking this isn't a serious situation. Chicago could see light snow flurries Friday afternoon. Indianapolis catches some snow showers. Cleveland and Buffalo see more persistent snow, with lake enhancement adding to totals. Pittsburgh is looking at accumulating snow Friday afternoon and evening. By Friday night, the snow intensifies, especially near the Appalachian Mountains, where a few inches could pile up. The mountains of West Virginia, western Maryland, and western Pennsylvania are looking at 3 to 5 inches in favored locations. The higher elevations could push towards 6 inches, where orographic enhancement kicks in. But here's the bigger story for Friday. The next Arctic blast is loading up in Canada and preparing to plunge southward. This one is going to be significantly more intense than what arrived today. Temperatures could drop by as much as 40 degrees in just 24 hours as this reinforcing shot of Arctic air crashes into the upper Midwest Friday night. Saturday, February 6th brings that intense Arctic blast surging through the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and into the Northeast. This is going to be a shock to the system, even for areas that have already been dealing with cold weather. Temperatures plummet as the Arctic front pushes through. Snow continues across the Northeast on Saturday, with the majority of accumulation occurring in New England. Boston, Hartford, Providence, and the interior of New England see the most persistent snowfall. Portland, Maine, and Down East Maine are in the bullseye for the heaviest totals from this system. Lake-effect snow machines fire up behind the Arctic front. Buffalo is looking at significant lake-effect enhancement Saturday into Sunday. Syracuse and the Tug Hill Plateau could see impressive totals. Cleveland's snow belt gets hammered. The cold on Saturday is remarkable. Much of Pennsylvania, New York, and New England will see high temperatures struggle to reach the single digits or low teens. Wind chills are brutal, potentially reaching 20 to 30 below zero in exposed locations. This is dangerous cold that requires serious precautions. Meanwhile, look at the incredible contrast developing across the rest of the country. The southern plains are surging into the mid to upper 60s and low 70s. Texas is experiencing spring-like warmth. Oklahoma City could push towards 70 degrees. Wichita Falls could flirt with 80 degrees on Saturday. While the Northeast shivers through sub-zero wind chills, the southern plains are enjoying temperatures that feel like April. Sunday, February 7th shapes up to be one of the coldest days of the entire week across the Northeast. The Arctic air fully settles in and bottoms out temperatures. Some areas in Pennsylvania and New England could see readings 15 to 20 degrees below zero for morning lows. Pittsburgh could approach 40 degrees below normal when you factor in the departure from average. This is exceptional cold, even by the standards of this historically brutal winter. Additional snow chances continue on Sunday, particularly across the Ohio Valley and Northeast. A secondary wave of energy moving through the cold air mass produces light to moderate snow across portions of Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and into New England. This timing coincides with Super Bowl Sunday, so if you're traveling to watch parties or hosting gatherings, factor in the possibility of snow-covered roads. Lake-effect snow continues downwind of the Great Lakes on Sunday. Buffalo, Syracuse, and the eastern shores of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie see persistent snow bands. Totals from the multi-day lake effect event could reach 8 to 14 inches in the most favored locations. The warmth continues building across the central and southern United States on Sunday. The Gulf Coast sees temperatures in the 60s and 70s. The southern plains remain spring-like. This warm air begins pushing northward into Iowa, Illinois, and the Dakotas, setting the stage for a significant pattern shift by early next week. Now let me break down snowfall expectations by region for this Thursday through Sunday period. Starting in the Great Lakes, Wisconsin is looking at 3 to 6 inches over the 4-day period, with the highest totals in the lake-enhanced zones along the Lake Michigan shoreline. Green Bay and the Fox Valley see accumulating snow. Madison catches 2 to 4 inches. Michigan faces widespread snow with significant lake enhancement. Detroit is looking at 4 to 7 inches total. Grand Rapids could see 5 to 9 inches with Lake Michigan enhancement. The Upper Peninsula gets buried with potentially double-digit totals in the snowbelt communities. Minnesota sees lighter amounts on the western fringe of the main activity. Minneapolis-St. Paul is looking at 2 to 4 inches with the Clipper Passage. Indiana catches snow showers Friday into Saturday. Indianapolis is looking at 2 to 4 inches. Fort Wayne sees 3 to 5 inches given its position closer to the lake-enhanced zones. South Bend could approach 5 to 8 inches with lake effect contribution. Ohio is squarely in the impact zone. Cleveland is looking at 5 to 9 inches when you factor in Lake Erie enhancement. Columbus sees 3 to 5 inches. Cincinnati on the southern edge catches 2 to 3 inches. Toledo faces 4 to 7 inches. Pennsylvania sees significant accumulation, especially in the western and northern portions. Pittsburgh is looking at 4 to 7 inches. State College and the interior could see 5 to 8 inches. Philadelphia is on the lighter side at 2 to 4 inches. Scranton and the Poconos are looking at 5 to 8 inches. New York State faces the heaviest totals in the lake effect zones and interior. Buffalo could see 8 to 14 inches from the combination of synoptic snow and lake effect. Syracuse and the Tug Hill Plateau are looking at 10 to 16 inches in favored locations. Albany sees 4 to 7 inches. New York City is on the lighter side at 2 to 4 inches, with Long Island seeing similar amounts. New England sees persistent snow through the period. Boston is looking at 5 to 8 inches. Hartford and Providence are in similar ranges. Portland, Maine could see 6 to 10 inches. The interior of New Hampshire and Vermont is looking at 6 to 9 inches. Down east, Maine faces the highest totals, potentially approaching a foot in some locations. For the Mid-Atlantic, Washington, D.C. and Baltimore are looking at 1 to 3 inches from snow showers associated with the cold frontal passages. Not a major event, but enough to create some travel headaches. For the southeast, Virginia sees light snow Thursday with maybe a coating to an inch in favored mountain locations. The Piedmont is largely done with snow chances for this period. The Carolinas have already received their historic snow from last weekend and are now in a quiet period. Charlotte, Raleigh, and the Piedmont see no significant additional accumulation through Sunday. The mountains could see some flurries Thursday, but nothing accumulating. When all these snow events are said and done over the next 4 days, we're looking at a widespread 3 to 7 inch swath stretching from Michigan and northern Wisconsin across most of Pennsylvania into northern New England. Lake effect zones push those totals considerably higher, with some locations approaching a foot of snow. The cold is the bigger story. Sunday morning lows across the Northeast will be some of the coldest of the entire winter. Dangerous wind chills require limiting time outdoors and taking precautions for pipes, pets, and vulnerable populations. Looking beyond the weekend, all that warm air building across the central United States will eventually push eastward. By early next week, temperatures moderate significantly for the Ohio Valley and parts of the Mid-Atlantic. Some areas could swing from 20 below normal to 20 above normal in just a few days. This dramatic temperature flip creates the potential for significant storm development during the second week of February. When you have cold air retreating and warm air surging northward, the clash zone often produces significant weather. I'm watching mid-February closely for the potential of a major storm system that could bring severe weather to the warm sector and heavy snow on the cold side. The comparison to 2013-2014 remains incredibly appropriate. That winter seemed endless with storm after storm and cold that wouldn't break until suddenly it did, and the pattern flipped. We may be approaching a similar inflection point, but until that flip fully materializes, winter remains firmly in control across the eastern United States. I'll be tracking these systems and bringing you updates as conditions evolve. The parade of winter weather continues, but there's light at the end of the tunnel with warmer air finally trying to push back. February 2026 is delivering historic weather, and we're right in the middle of it.